Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganya. I want to thank you for joining us today on Red Carpet. As always, right here on the show, we bring you the latest in entertainment news, in sports, in fashion, in film and television from around the world. Let's begin the show. And we begin the show with sports. It's an exciting time in Kigali where African players are quarantining in the Rwandan capital ahead of the Basketball Africa League's inaugural season. Here is a look at what is to come. And still in Kigali, Rwanda, ESPN is reporting that the rapper J. Cole is signed to play in the tournament for Rwanda's Patriots Basketball Club. And stay tuned to VOA TV for game highlights and your local VOA FM station for live game action through May 30th. And check out our website for more. Prince Harry joined pop royalty, including Jennifer Lopez and Foo Fighters, at a star-studded concert in Los Angeles to argue faster and more equitable global vaccination for coronavirus. Vax Live, the concert to reunite the world, featured video messages from President Joe Biden and Prince Harry's wife, Meghan. The pre-taped show was in front of thousands of fully vaccinated spectators at a vast California stadium. It was Prince Harry's first in-person appearance at a major public event in California since he and Meghan Markle moved to the United States last year.
For the nations that have received so few doses and the countries where cases are rising and the human loss is staggering, hesitancy is not an option. Misinformation is not simply harming those who believe it, but also those who don't. We must tackle each of these issues head-on: vaccine equity and misinformation. And if vaccine distribution moved half as quickly as misinformation, just imagine how many lives could be saved.
Meghan Markle was not able to attend the event in person. Her pre-recorded message focused on how the pandemic disproportionately impacts women, including her unborn daughter.
Women, and especially women of color, have seen a generation of economic gain wiped out. Since the pandemic began, nearly 5.5 million women have lost work in the US, and 47 million more women around the world are expected to slip into extreme poverty. But if we work together to bring vaccines to every country and continent, insist that vaccines are equitably distributed and fairly priced, and ensure that governments around the world are donating their additional vaccines to countries in need, then we can begin to fully rebuild.
The concert was organized by the international advocacy group Global Citizen to battle vaccine disinformation and press world leaders and corporations to take action and make donations. The benefit concert raised more than $300 million. And in some film news, the film The Unexpected Virus explains the impact of COVID-19 on the Afro-Portuguese speaking community in London and just won the Short Documentary Award at the London ArtHouse Film Festival. Angolan filmmaker Henrique Sungo spoke to VOA Portuguese reporter Dani Stechki about his film and the importance behind this project. Let's check it out.
I worked with Felipe Lages, who is my partner. We made this short documentary very well done, very well elaborated. Hence the reason why we won. It is a documentary that talks about this pandemic, COVID-19 or coronavirus, right? When the pandemic happened, there was a very big unknown within our community, right? People didn't really know what was happening, what was going on. People had a lot of news of fear, dread, terror. So even to go out, they would say, hey, I don't know if I'll go out and get it. And we would see people dying, people in the hospital, and there was a need to bring this documentary to illustrate, to talk about the disease, yes, but also to talk mainly about people's psychological state. People were very upset, very doubtful. They have lost family members. It was like the world was going to end, and this documentary came to bring several aspects. There are testimonies in the first person that talk about their experiences, mothers who talk about their children who went 3 months without studying, people who lost their jobs, people who were very well selling their businesses suddenly had to go from 100 to 0, or from 100 to so-so. It's a huge drop, isn't it? There were also a group of people who got together, charities they were helping with food, even those people who had just a little, right? Because here in England, there was time when the food in the stores ran out, and I thought, so wow, I only saw it in Africa. When you go to the store and the food ends, something very serious is happening. So it was more or less that to bring an idea of what people are going through.
And for us to see this short, how do we do it?
Look, for you to see this short film, you must access the site www.tellus.co.au. You pay 2 or 3 euros, and you can see not only my documentary, but also many other African films.
And in music news, when it's time to release a new album, DJ Khaled turns a moment into an event. He posts Instagram videos showing recordings, sessions, silly dances, and praise from the hip-hop and R&B heavyweights who worked with him. Now, the pandemic summer of 2020, though most certainly did not match his ever-positive image. The songs were mostly ready, but after announcing his 12th album, Khaled, and releasing 2 lead singles featuring Drake in July, he pulled back.
I was still in the studio, but I walked out saying to myself, you know what, we got to bring the light. We're going to bring the light through the music, but also we're going to bring the light. These people got to feel the light. I got to feel the light too, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was important for me to spread a message that the light, remind people that the light is love and God is love, you know what I'm saying? And when it's dark times, we have to be the light. So, you know, in a physical form, be the light. If it's through music, be the light. If it's through this interview, be the light. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, now it's time for a light show because the album is out and Khaled bringing the light.
Khaled took time out to focus on his 2 young sons, Ashad, now 4, and Alam, who is now 1.
When I started seeing the new world and, you know, the pandemic and all this stuff, you know, you only seen this in movies and you only heard about things like this in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for it to really start happening, you know, I say to myself, I wasn't even worried about me. I just kept thinking about my boys. Like, I don't never want them to go through what we're going through because they're so young, they don't know. So my job was to keep them in the light and keep them smiling and happy.
A total of 29 rappers and singers are heard across 13 tracks, including pop music's 2 biggest Justins, that is Timberlake and Bieber, their own separate songs. Plus, a pairing of superstar rappers and former rivals, Nas and Jay-Z. Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton has called for society to keep shining the light on systemic racism and inequality. This following his win for the Laureus Athlete Advocate of the Year in Seville, Spain.
And a huge thank you to the Laureus World Sports Academy for presenting me with this incredible award. This past year has been incredibly difficult for so many, but it has also been heartening to see the power of our collective voices spark new conversations and change. The impact of each and every one of you who have stood up is so inspiring. So I want to thank you. Please keep fighting and keep shining your light. The global rising to address the long-standing issue of systemic racism and inequality in our society has been monumental, but we must continue to fight. We must all see ourselves as responsible for making positive change in our world and hold ourselves accountable so that the promises of last year turn into action.
Hamilton, who equaled Michael Schumacher's record of 7 Formula One World Drivers titles in 2020, received the award in recognition for his continued involvement in the fight against racism. And we end our show this week with some heartwarming photos. Now, while the pandemic has been a source of grief, it has not stopped joyful events from happening, including thousands of babies being born. Photographer Anne Geddes, creator of the Joy Project, is encouraging women from around the world to send her pictures of their newborns for publication and a pick-me-up. Anna Nelson has a story narrated by Anne Rice.
For photographer Anne Geddes, a series of coronavirus-inspired lockdowns was a challenge. Constant flipping through newspapers, a short walk around the block, apathy. One of the best-known baby photographers had a hard time adjusting to the new reality. Geddes is known for unique newborn photos, sleeping babies nested in flower petals or flower pots or wrapped in cozy blankets. Her works reached the peak of popularity in the 1990s, when calendars of her photographs adorned walls in thousands of homes. As the quarantine period was extended, Geddes thought, enough, and she found a way to bring joy into the new reality.
Oldest daughter, our 2 daughters are photographers, wonder why, said, you know, why don't you think about spreading joy, because that's what you've done your whole career. And so we came up with this Joy series, and I had no idea that it would be so impactful for so many people, including myself, because all I did was do one post saying, "Hi guys, while we all try to make sense of this global pandemic and we're all in voluntary isolation, which is where I am now, I just got to thinking, because I've had a lot of time to think, I've been in the spreading the joy business for the past 30 years. Will you help me to spread the joy around the world by direct messaging me a joyful photograph of your little one?"
Geddes hoped to receive responses, but never imagined she would be flooded with gratitude and thousands of pictures of babies born during this incredibly difficult time. What she thought would be a small collection turned into a collective, heartwarming portrait amid the pandemic from more than 80 countries.
As a mother myself, who gave birth, over 30 years ago, I have to take my hat off to these wonderful women around the world who are going through labour and birth, wearing a mask, often without family around them, often without their partner. I simply can't post all of them, right, because there are so many.
But she found a way around that. Geddes created a subscription-based mobile app, a sort of a photo bank for baby pictures, where anyone can upload a picture of their little one and get a personal response from Geddes herself.
I would recommend to people is that they have themselves included in the photograph with their tiny baby, because it gives a sense of perspective, of course, when you see how small tiny babies are, but it lets your child see you when they're an adult as the age that you were when they were born, and it will allow them many years of mocking you for your hairstyle and your wardrobe.
Geddes believes baby pictures have a unique effect on people, calming, heartwarming, bringing joy in the toughest of times.
And that's the power of tiny babies, yeah? You can cut all the flowers, but you can't stop the spring. It's intense joy in tiny little pockets through COVID, but it's still joy nonetheless.
And with that, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out at voanews.com. We are also on all social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube, where you can watch our videos. Remember to share and like. Until next time, goodbye, everyone.